Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video I wanted to highlight a really good change that's coming for casual players in patch 10.2. I don't think this got enough hype, not that it's, world breaking or anything, but this is definitely a step in the right direction, which, I tend to say a lot lately, which is good. Continuing to take steps in the correct direction. We love to see it. Now this is for, it's going to affect mostly casual players, so this is really good. So it's the Great Vault change. So Mythic Dungeons row has been renamed to Dungeons. So if you go into the Great Vault, Mythic Dungeons row, the middle row, that's from doing Mythic Plus, this is now going to be renamed just to Dungeons. Heroic, Mythic Zero, and Time Walking Dungeon runs now unlock rewards in the Dungeons row. These draw from the same rewards pool as Mythic Plus with lower item levels. Time Walking Dungeon runs count as Heroic level as far as item level goes. So as a casual player, normally if you don't do Mythic Plus keys, right, or maybe you do one or two and you have a bad experience, whatever, normally you don't get anything from that row. With the other rows, with the raid row, you can do LFR and get a piece of LFR loot. You can do PvP and get some PvP loot. But if you don't step into those timed Mythic Plus dungeons, you actually get nothing on the dungeon row. And so it makes sense, in my opinion, to do this. I think it's probably a long time coming, honestly. I would love to see the item level boosted in the vault, just like it is in Mythic Plus, right? So like you complete, you actually get a higher item level than the end of dungeon run from the vault. It doesn't say they're going to do that, so I'm not expecting it, but I would love to see that. It's really great to reward players for playing your game. That's what the vault's kind of supposed to be, with a little bit of like, Gamba or whatever, like, because it's a RNG or whatever. It's supposed to be like a reward. Okay, you did all your stuff. Now you get a reward at the beginning of the next week for doing a bunch of stuff. And for a casual player who maybe does heroics for fun, for gold, for whatever, does Mythic Zeros just because that's the level they're comfortable doing, or because they did Mythic Zeros for the weekly to do Mythic Zeros and you get or Mythic Pluses, but Mythic Zeros and you get a piece of raid loot. Time walking, when the time walking dungeon thing goes on. For me, even, this is actually even big for like my alts, right? So a lot of times on my alts, maybe I'll do the Turbulent Timeways time walking dungeons to get the piece of heroic loot or whatever. And a lot of times that might be the only time I had to log in to play WoW on an alt that week. So that character did the 5 time walkings or whatever, and then got the reward, but then has nothing in their Great Vault or anything like that. So to potentially get 2 upgrades instead of 1, could be, pretty advantageous for someone who just doesn't play the game as much too, right? So like an alt, someone who doesn't play the game as much. And all in all, it's just a great change. I would love to see just more things like this. We could get ridiculous with a Great Vault system where you just keep adding rows, and I don't want to get it too ridiculous or anything. But like even having something like you completed 20 world quests or something like that, 50, whatever you think is appropriate time-wise, a certain amount of world quests, and you unlock items in your vault that are scaled up a little bit in item level, right? It's a way to slowly increase your item level too, as what I would like to see with like this change here. This kind of makes me think about it. I would love for a way for people to progress their characters while still doing casual content. Is always kind of something that I thought the game was lacking. There's no way, there never has been a way in this game to progress your character while only doing casual content. The closest thing, of course, was Titan Forging, which was a very hated feature overall. Titan Forging, you could just do random content and eventually get a Warforged or Titan Forged, whatever, piece of gear and have it, then hope you get another one someday. And that was a way to progress your character casually. But I don't know if that was a very healthy way to do it. Whereas this would be a very healthy way to do it. You could actually, time it out to where, okay, so once a week, you get an upgrade. And maybe if you were an outdoor player, by, after 2 or 3 months of the patch, you're actually geared in between like a normal and heroic raider or something like that, right? Just by doing a ton of outdoor content, or just by doing a ton of Mythic Zeros or time walking dungeons or something. I would love to see that personally. I'm not saying that's what this is going to be in this. In fact, they don't mention it, so I'm not assuming that that's the case. But kind of also giving this as feedback that I would love that to be the case for casual players to have a way to at least slowly progress their characters. I've always understood not having the progression of somebody doing world quests be the same scale as somebody mythic rating or something like that, right? Like, obviously one of these things is harder than the other, and one can have better rewards and better progression. But it doesn't mean that the low end person should have zero progression, in my opinion. So would love to see that. I love to see this change. I think it's a great change overall. Again, let's keep taking steps into this direction, right? Let's make sure that these rewards can then also be changed at the into tier pieces or whatever, by whatever the new tier piece changing thing is. Let's make sure you can change it into tier pieces, not only in this patch but in the future, so we can have access to tier for our casual players. And let's keep taking these steps in the correct direction, and keep rewarding casual players for playing the game, because casual players are the backbone of the game. I think we need high-end players too, especially the ones that have like a platform and promote the game positively. But the game also needs, the backbone is still the casual players, right? You need all the players, you need all the different groups. But I do think, the support, the backbone, right? The spine, the support is the casual player base, and let's reward them for playing the game, in my opinion. That's always been my opinion, and that's where I'm at now. And again, a good step in the right direction. Let me know what you think about this change. As always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel because it helps me out a lot. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.